We are live. What is going on, folks? Thanks for joining us for another podcast. We're about to jump right into recording it, so appreciate you guys tuning in again for it. So, Elliot, you want to share the links, or you just want to jump right into it tonight?
Those links out.
Alrighty. Well, appreciate all of our YouTube viewers jumping in every week. It's a new year, and we are more ready than ever. I guess I don't know if that's exactly true. Are you more ready than ever, Elliot?
I would say I'm as ready as ever.
As ready as ever. as equally ready as other times.
As equally ready as I was last year at this time.
Yeah. I know that there's weeks where we're more motivated than others, and I'm definitely feeling really motivated right about now. So I'll definitely agree that I'm as ready as ever, if not more ready than ever.
Yeah, well, you and I haven't even talked for 2 weeks, so we've got a lot of catching up. This is our catch-up session.
Yeah. No, I forgot. Yeah, we did the doubleheader 2 weeks ago to cover for Christmas holiday. But then we had not only the Christmas holiday, but now we have the New Year's holiday this week as well. So we pushed it off to Thursday, and here we are back again. So just let me know when you've got those links up, and we'll start recording.
One more place. I've got Fellowship of the Duck Gun done. I've got YouTube Community done. I'm just going to Freelance Duck Hunting Facebook page.
Awesome. What's up, fellows? Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you guys jumping on in here. What's up, Dan? What's up, Northwest Fowler? Finn and Feather, how's it going? Luke, thanks for joining us. Happy New Year's, fellas. Should I get the Stoker M at 3500? I am not sure. Never shot one.
I'm sure he should get the Stoker 3000 because there's no reason for 3.5-inch shells, and you save money.
That's true.
It's the only difference between the 3000 and the 3500 is you can shoot 3.5-inch shells. Aiden's got the Stoker M3000. It's a great entry-level shotgun.
Nice.
In fact, on my channel, I've got a comparison video between the Stoker and the Outlander. And at the end, I say that I think if I had to do it over again, I would go with the Stoker M3000. I don't know if that, I think it's a toss-up. And it being a toss-up, Stoker is a little bit cheaper. That was kind of where I laid out on it. It's just a little bit $100 cheaper.
Nice.
Inertia gun, it's a lot cleaner.
Alrighty.
Can I finish or go? Because
say that again. You're cutting out now.
do you want me to tell him the difference between the two real quick since he asked?
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So Stoker's about $100 cheaper than the Beretta A300, and it's inertia versus gas driven, and that's just how it actually ejects the shells. Inertia has a little more kick to it, but not enough you can even really tell, and it's going to be a lot cleaner gun. I've been told, and I'm not positive if this is true or not, that on the Outlander A300, I don't even remember the right terminology on it, but there's fittings that you can mess with that allow you to change the how the gun sits on your shoulder a little bit. And I don't think that the Stoker has that, but if you're looking for an entry-level shotgun, really flip a coin between those two. And since the Stoker's cheaper, go for that one, I guess. Done.
Awesome. Sounds good. All right. Let's go ahead and get to recording. What's going on, folks? It is 2020. First time I said that, it sounded super weird and I almost felt like I was saying it wrong, but it is 2020 and we are back for another podcast. How you doing tonight, Elliot?
I'm doing great. Our first podcast of the year. We haven't talked for a couple of weeks, and we've got a lot of catching up to do and stuff to talk about. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. Just to give you guys a little bit of spoilers of what we're going to have coming in the podcast. We got some bands to talk about, some duck bands. We got Elliot's trip out to Cypress Crossing, his epic trip out to a hunting lodge. We got some boat issues, and we're going to talk about our year in review, as well as have a phone guest call in. First one ever. Trying that out with our new system setup. So that's a lot to get in. So we better go ahead and jump right into the podcast. So before we do that, though, let's give big thanks to our partners. First off, I'd like to give a big thanks out to Boss Shot Shell. Elliot and I both have been loving those, shooting the 2 3/4 inch 4s and the 5s, 2 3/4 as well for ducks. And let me tell you, I've been putting the smackdown on geese with it a lot here recently. Those number 4s, 2 3/4, just really been putting a hurting on them. So not enough good things we can say about them. American-made company, high density shells. You guys have heard this a lot, and you guys can see it in the videos that we put out every week. So big thanks out to Boss Shot Shell.
A partner of ours is HTR Innovations, and another company that is American made. Product code is Duck Space Gun with a capital D and G for 10% off and free shipping. And actually, Jordan, I don't think you probably know this, obviously, because I haven't talked to you, but we're packed up for tomorrow's hunt, and right now I've got 3 HTR products ready to go in my truck. I've got the A-frame, I've got the layout pad inside of the layout bows, and I've got the gun stand. So, man, these products at HTR, go on over to HTR Innovations, look at these products, because these are things that you're going to want to have in your arsenal of supplies to stay flexible, and they're just great products.
Awesome. Also, we'd like to give a big thanks out to Kennels, another American-made company. It's great to have these American-made companies on board with us. Nothing like supporting companies and having companies that support us that have great American values. And Kennels is the Cadillac, the tank, the the best way to get man's best friend from point A to point B. You're going to have peace of mind when you have a Gunner Kennel, because you know that your hunting companion is going to be safe and sound riding in the back. And they have lots of testimonials, lots of stories where people have been in accidents, and their system is 5-star crash test rated. And there's not other companies that can say that. So definitely the best way to keep your hunting companion safe.
And I want to talk about Motion Ducks Decoy Spreader. At this point, I have had a chance to use this product for almost a full season, and I can say I've used this jerk rig system more this year than I've ever used any other jerk rig. I've always been frustrated with how the jerk rig system works, and it's just been a pain in the butt. But you are like Motion 4 or 7 duck decoy spreader system. It's extremely mobile, and instead of having your ducks in a line, it actually makes them look like they're flying in a flock. So if a traditional jerk rig is something that's always kind of gotten on your nerves, difficult to set up, takes a long time, and it just always seems like a headache to you, go check out Motion Ducks. Duck Gun, all caps, no space, for that 10% off discount, and you will love this product.
Awesome. And last but not least, we got Bandit Avery Green Headgear. Big fans of those guys and everything they got going on. And we're super excited that we are partnered with them. Just want to highlight some of the gear that I've been using from them. And with a lot of the water goose hunt I've been using the pro grade goose floaters, super lifelike geese decoys, and another great product they got is what's the name of the backpack again, Elliot?
It's something hard shell.
Yeah, the hard shell backpack. It's a blind bag, but it's like a blind bag on steroids. You can wear it as a backpack. It's got a big compartment in the bottom and one at the top, and just compartments all over it. I've never been able to carry so much gear, especially with bringing our cameras out there, and dog gear, as well as like his collar, his remote, all that, calls, shells. everything. I mean, there's just so much room in there. I've never taken or been able to take so much stuff out with me on a hunt, and I've really became somewhat of a gearhead. Uh, you know, just really being able to take out so much of my duck hunting gear with me every time. So definitely check those guys out. They got some stellar products over there, and we're just super happy to have them on board. But
So real quick question about that backpack, because I've got it too, but you've used it a lot more than I have. Because I have got a waterproof backpack, a bigger waterproof backpack of theirs that I use. But I used when I went out to Arkansas at Cypress Crossings, I used the hard shell and I really liked it and everything. Is it how waterproof is that? Have you gotten it
yeah,
tested out the
I
water?
mean, I've used it in the rain. It's not gonna get like it's not gonna fill up with water from rain or anything like that. But I've also dropped it in the water. If you drop it in the water, um, well, I'm not sure if it was zipped up or not. So that's hard to say. I'm not 100% sure. I know when I dropped it in the I'm not sure if it was open or not. So I can't tell you for sure, but when I dropped it that time, I didn't realize it was in the water. It was sitting in the water and it filled up. I mean, the zippers aren't waterproof, so if you submerge it, those zippers are going to leak water. It's not like waterproof zippers, but it is water resistant, and the bottom is waterproof. So if you set it down in water, in like 2 inches of water, inch and a half, it's not going to fill up with water because the bottom has that hard shell on the bottom that's going to prevent it from getting water in it. So I think that's the big thing. It's not like made out of waterproof material or waterproof zippers. It's
Yeah.
water resistant. So you're good in snow and rain and that kind of stuff, but you ain't going to be like
Yeah, I was out
scuba
in a
diving
rain
with it.
hunt and didn't have any issues at all. I have not submerged it, but it's a sweet pack, sweet for sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but last but not least, I guess I already said that once, but we'd like to thank you guys, the viewers, the listeners, for tuning in and supporting us week in and week out. This community and the podcast or YouTube channels would be nothing without you guys and the awesome community you guys came together and helped us create. So we'd like to thank you guys in the new year for supporting us week in and week out. But I think right now is probably a good time to go ahead and jump right into the podcast.
Hey guys, I'm Jordan Fromer. I believe in hunting hard, hunting smart, and having a fun time while doing it. And shooting limits, well, that's just the icing on the cake. I revel in the journey just as much as the successes it brings. From ducks to dogs to decoys and guns, we'll be talking tactics, strategies, and what it takes to get the job done. Load up and take aim. This is the Duck Gun Podcast.
What's going on, folks? Thanks for joining us for another episode of Duck Gun Podcast. I'm Jordan from Duck Gun Chronicles. Got my co-host, as always, the Graybeard, the Ducktator, the man of many names. How you doing tonight, Elliot?
I'm doing great. Just got back from Cypress Crossing in Arkansas, and I can't wait to tell you all about this trip down there. Really kind of a trip of a lifetime for me. I've never done anything like going to a hunting lodge and be guided for 3 days by Joel Strickland, who's the creator of Surviving, and it was for sure. Can't
Yep.
wait to talk about it.
Awesome. And you cut out there for a quick second there, but I believe what you're saying is that he's the creator of Surviving Duck Season. I don't want to leave that out. So, yeah, definitely pretty cool to follow along with the Instagram stories, and I can't wait to hear all about that. I guess.
So was I putting out too many Instagram stories or not enough?
Oh, definitely not enough, man.
Okay.
No, I'm
I
just
feel like I
kidding.
was doing it all the time.
Oh yeah, I mean, you did good on the stories. I'm just giving you a little bit of a hard time. I mean, let's just think about. I think it was 2 years ago when I had to show you how to put out an Instagram story to now, and so
Yeah.
I think we're on the right path with the Instagram stories. So, that's probably right about how many you should do.
Yeah, it's just like recording with the phone, recording with the cameras, doing Instagram stories, taking pictures for thumbnails, taking pictures for Instagram. It becomes a little overwhelming.
Yep. Yep. No, I hear you. But yeah, let's go ahead. I guess let's go ahead and just start there. It should be a good place to start. So,
Okay, I'm gonna go through the whole trip then and just kind of give you my impressions and feedback, and then you ask any questions. Stop me at any point. How's that sound?
yeah, sounds good.
So I went down to a hunting lodge called Cypress Crossing, which is about 20 minutes from Stuttgart. So this is right in the center of what some people think, a lot of people claim is the duck hunting capital of the world. Really famous. And so I've never hunted in Arkansas at all. So the deal with this guiding system is it's all inclusive. So you go down, you sleep at the lodge, they give you your meals, they take you on the hunts, they bring you back, and it's just a total event. And the food is just phenomenal. Joel's actually the chef down there, and the food is like, I don't know, I'm just like a regular guy, so I can't tell you what star the food is, but it's like really high end. It's really good. So actually, I took my wife down with me because we don't ever get away and do things together, like trips and stuff. So she wasn't hunting, but she went on the trip down with me. And then when I was out hunting, she just stayed in the room and worked on her digital artwork.
I still
She's a
haven't. I still haven't forgiven you for not taking me, but continue on.
Yeah, I know. But man, we had an awesome time. We had an awesome time. So I put out a video of the whole trip down there, the ride down there, and everything. So we got down there about 4 o'clock on I think it was Friday evening, and we got into our room and just kind of hung out and everything, and then we had our first meal at 6:30. So it's just kind of pit out back. They've got TVs, and there's about 18 other hunters just mingling around. So that whole atmosphere, I tend to be a little bit introverted when it comes to meeting new people, and so it was interesting. I'm just kind of mingling and talking,
Were you
and
recognized at all?
I was by one younger kid. I'd say younger. He was probably in his teens or might have been 20, but I doubt it. So I was by one guy. I don't think he was that familiar with me because he thought I was from California, but he certainly recognized me. So that was kind of cool.
Nice.
So every day you wake up at you've got to be ready to go by 5:15. They've got this muck room, and you walk in, you put up your waders and your gun, and all your hunting stuff stays there. So all the mud and crap stays confined into one room. So you've got to be ready to go at 5:15, waders on, ready to get out the door. So all these 18 guys are all putting on waders and getting all ready and everything. And honestly, at first it was kind of intimidating just to like be filming everyone I didn't know and everything. So I tried to, I don't know, it's just it feels kind of awkward at first. So I hopped in the truck. 3 trucks pull up, and everyone just starts jumping into vehicles and everything. And you go in a truck for about a 5-minute drive, then you get out of the truck because they've got a bunch of different farms leased up, most of which are rice fields, which are flooded. And they've got a few timber holes as well. So from after you get out of the truck, you get into like a little, I don't know what the name, like a gator or whatever, with all the decoys on it, and you like 6 guys hop in the same vehicle, and you go down a dike, and then you get to your different hunting blinds. So on the first day, it was Joel, myself, and 4 others. And that I would say that my biggest the thing that I guess I had struggled to get used to was 5 shooters at once out of a duck blind like that. That I kind of struggled getting used to that part of it. So unfortunately, when we got down there, the temperature was 60s during the day. Now the day before they had shot 32 ducks, and I'm not sure whether everyone shot 32 or whether just Joel's blind shot 32, but they had a decent day the day before. When we got there, the sound of the geese was just deafening. Snow geese and speckle bellies. And I mean, it was just like they were in a field just adjacent to us. And it sounded like there's just hundreds of thousands
Mm.
of them. And that was like one of my big takeaways. I knew that hunting speckle bellies was a big thing down in Arkansas, but I had no idea how many speckle bellies they have down there. I mean, it's almost like you're hunting specks more than anything else. They're just everywhere, and they're constantly like not hardly at all do you go without hearing or seeing specks fly at least high in the sky. And I mean, we've got a few specks, but mostly Canada's. Down there, it's just reverse. It's just they're everywhere, and they're such a cool little bird.
Yeah.
So the first day we didn't exactly do great. We ended up with I don't know, we downed 9 or 10, lost a couple. So I think it was something like 6 ducks, mostly mallards, and three speckle bellies. So it was not a fantastic hunt or anything, but there was constantly specks in the air. We saw a lot more of them than we did ducks. They will actually work kind of like I've not seen Canada's do this as much, where they're kind of working and circling you like ducks and everything. And so I actually only pulled the trigger twice on day one, because my main goal, especially with 5 shooters, was just to film. And I mean, if a single or double came in, I don't feel like I need to shoot if there's 4 other guys, pulling the trigger. So I took 2 shots at a spec, killed it on the second one, which I got shot cam footage of. And that was day one. So then when you're done, you get back in the vehicle, go back to the truck. They always shut down the hunt at about 10 or 10:30 every day. They don't go past 10:30.
Is that just to
So
kind of like give the spots rest and let birds kind of work back in there?
um I think they have a real routine system. So as soon as you get back, then the ladies that make the meals, assist with the meals, are Joel's wife, Scott's wife, the owner, and then Scott's son's girlfriend. So they have got the food already, like, on schedule. So everyone comes back in at about 11, between 11. By the time you get there, it's between 11 and 12, and like a big breakfast is sitting there waiting for you. Then you've got a few some people go on a spec hunt in the afternoon, and then that goes right into dinner. So I think it's just they keep it routine like
Okay,
that,
so you
just so
can
that
do
the
an
schedule
afternoon
works
hunt
well.
if you want.
You can, and one of the 3 days we did do an afternoon hunt. A lot of times they do speckle belly field hunting out of layout blinds and stuff. Ours was just in a rice field blind when we went in the afternoon. So I just think they keep the whole thing just like a well-oiled machine.
So
Just
is it up to you or up to them who like if you do the afternoon hunt?
Well, the way it works, if you've had a horrible morning, I think they offer it to you. And if you've had a good morning, then it's an additional charge. Is the way I think that it works. Now I was down there. I'm a Joel's friend, so I was down there to kind of promote and run videos and everything. So that was nice
So you got
on their
charged
part.
extra for the afternoon hunt? Is that what you're trying to say?
I did not. I did not get charged anything for the afternoon hunt. So um, So we got back, and you have the breakfast and everything, and then we just hung around that afternoon and watched some college football. And I took a little nap, worked on some video stuff, and then got up for dinner and everything. So it's just, I mean, you're there and you got nothing to do, so it's just such a relaxed hanging around the lodge and just having all the camaraderie and getting to know all these people from California and some guys in there, some Virginia was really is a huge part of the fun. Just the whole lodge experience, honestly,
Hmm.
was a big part of it. So day two, it just ended up being myself and 2 of the guys from the day before, and they are High and Dry. They make waders, and they're sponsors with, or partners with, Joel on his YouTube channel. And so I hunted with those 2 guys every day. Day two was just me and those 2. So we only had 3 guns in the blind the second day. The second day was even slower than the first. We ended up with 3 specs and 3 shovelers. On that day, I pulled the trigger twice and killed a spec and a shoveler. So, honestly, I think that those 2 hunts were the worst hunts that they've had the entire year. So that's kind of how my year is gone. I just keep missing it. I just miss it and missing it. Because they normally just pretty much pound them every single day, but you're dealing with temperatures in the 60s. And on morning number 2, morning temperature was almost 60, and there wasn't very much wind, and they haven't had a huge push of ducks for a while. So I mean, for down there, it was just stale. I mean, and these ducks, I think I've started to figure out. You know how we've had some debates about, I've given a little pushback to people saying down south the birds are so much more wary because they've traveled so far,
Yep.
and I've given a little pushback to that argument, because I said, well, a mallard in Kansas in January has been hunted the exact amount of days as a mallard in Arkansas and Louisiana, Texas. So how could they be more wary? But what I found out is that these ducks go down there, like a lot of these ducks in Arkansas, they're the same ducks that have been down there since the beginning of November. So when you go, these birds a lot of times get there early and they just stay, and they don't migrate anymore.
Mm.
So they're dealing with stale ducks on a consistent basis.
Hmm.
And here in Kansas, it's like, we don't get ducks that just sit here. They're always coming through. And so I think the reality of it, it's not that the ducks travel so much farther and they've had to deal with the travel that makes them more wary by the time they get south. I think it's the fact that they get there and they are there so much longer and they learn the area. I've never seen birds so hard to pull in. I mean, I've had days, but those first 2 days, every duck that we saw would kind of work the blind and everything. And I mean, it was just like over and over and over again. They just were like, nope, They just were just very, very intelligent, smart birds.
Mm-hmm.
So the third day was much, much better. We ended up shooting 20 ducks and I think 3 or 4 geese. So, and the place that we hunted on the third day was a very interesting spot. It was this blind that was kind of back into the trees, another rice field that was circled by timber all the way around. And right at the beginning of the day, there was a lot more duck movement than what we had seen, but it was kind of the same thing to all the ducks before. They just couldn't finish them. And Joel and the other guides there, they were like, "Oh, just wait until the sun hits the decoys. You're going to see a change." And as soon as the sun came up enough over the trees to hit the decoys, the ducks started finishing. And so that was a really good hunt. We were shooting and shot a few pintails, a few widgeon, a couple specks. So
So
that was a good hunt. I personally struggled on that hunt myself with my shooting, but it was a good day.
so here's a question on that. So you're saying that once the sun hit the decoys that they worked in better, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've kind of always, we've talked about this some, like where maybe it's not like super important, like if my decoys have like some mud on them, like I'm not gonna like take time during the middle of the season and like clean them off. Like I might have them clean before the season comes in, stuff like that. But you know, if it makes that big of a difference, or if you've seen examples of like the sun hitting the decoys and the colors popping more, I mean, you think newer, fresh decoys work better than older, dull decoys?
I'm sure to an extent, to an extent I think that's true. Once the sun hits the decoys, so I was thinking about this too. Down there, they believe that sunny versus cloudy is the most important factor. They believe that is the number one factor as to why ducks aren't coming in. And I mean, they view cloudy days as just it's the worst thing in the world to them. And so I've been trying to think about that concept because I fully believe that sunny days are better than cloudy days. I think that I've got stats on my website that back that up. But the stats on my website do not back up to the level in which they believe there's a difference between sun and cloudy. I mean, they talk about it constantly. It's like the thing. Um, but then you tie that up with the sun coming out and then hitting the decoys and the ducks reacting so much better. I'm not sure you can tie that into a sunny day, cloudy day thing. Um, because on a sunny day where the sun has not yet hit the decoys, then you've got a difference between things being lit by the sun and things being in shade and hidden more because they're in the shade versus a cloudy day where everything is the same coloration. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I don't think the correlation is the same between a sunny day and sunny hitting the decoys. I don't think it's necessarily the same the same issue.
Okay. Yeah.
But I
No.
mean, obviously, new decoys, the better they look, the better it's going to be. How much? I don't know. I mean, guys can throw out black spray painted water bottles and shoot ducks sometimes. Um, but it's not going to be as good as brand new, good looking decoys. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, that's definitely. I mean, we could go on that subject forever and speculate and figure it out. But it was just interesting to say, like, for you to say, like, it was night and day difference, kind of when the sun comes
Mhm.
out, and it kind of makes you think. I mean, certain parts of the season when you got the stale, wary ducks, and we
Mhm.
all have parts of the season where that's us, um, maybe the decoys are making a big difference in those times. I mean, obviously, if you're on the X at the honey hole, or one of your honey holes where the birds always want to be, you could probably do it with a black spray painted bottles. But if you're trying to traffic wary ducks that are stale and been there for a long time, every little thing probably matters a little bit. So, go ahead and continue on.
Well, I'd say my biggest struggle on the trip with my shooting was the whole thing of we weren't decoying big flocks. You're talking 2 or 3, 1 to 3 ducks coming in, and you've got 5 guns shooting. So you get in this mindset of needing to be first to shoot if you're going to kill something, right? So I got into a habit of, like, you see him coming and you are ready to jump up and get off a shot as quickly as humanly possible. And I was just, it makes you rush. And so I think I ended up being 2 for 10 on that last day. Everyone else shot probably 20 to 25 shells, and I shot 10. I was still doing a lot of filming, and if it's a single coming in, I wasn't even trying, because I mean, there's 5 guns. I'm not even gonna know if I even shot the thing.
Yeah.
So I kind of figured out by the end of it, because most of the people that I hunted with down there, not everyone, but most of them are, oh, this is our duck hunt for the year, or we hunt a couple times a year. So I mean, there would be a pair of birds come in, and I would get up and try to shoot as quick as I can. But I think if you're a little more patient, a lot of these guys miss on the first shot. So had I just been a little rush so much, I think that it would have worked a little bit better for me. It's just so different than the way we do it here, because I mean, we've got typically 1 cameraman, 2 shooters, at the most 1 cameraman and 3 shooters. And if they're singles, we take turns, I mean, so I always know when I pull the trigger whether it's my duck or not, or every now and then there's a split. I've just never been in a situation where it's like 5 guns blasting, and I don't know, did I shoot something, did I not shoot it, and also, when you've got that many people, you've got the caller going, kill them, and so by the time you get up, by the time you sit up out of your seat to shoot, those birds they're flying scared. It's like, if you're just hunting out by yourself with Chief and you pull the trigger on a mallard coming in, you're going to slip up and he's probably still going to be hovering when you pull the trigger, right? But in blinds like this, by the time you're pulling the trigger, those birds are no longer hovering. And so it's a big transition with the whole shot, and being okay with being that many shooters and maybe not knowing what you shoot, but
Yeah.
that was my personal biggest struggle.
Yeah, and I think probably I would, if I was gonna put like a guess of a number on it, I mean 85% of the country probably hunts the way you're describing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think I see that a lot. I've hunted with a lot of groups like that. I mean, if you're solo hunting, it's like you said. I mean, but even a lot of the groups I hunt with now, it's more guns blazing. Everybody shooting at a group of 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you have a different approach on it for your style, which is, I don't know what word to attach to it, but
It's certainly different. It's certainly different.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wouldn't. I mean, there's positives and negatives. Well, there's positives in both, right? So I'll just say that.
Well, I will say that I absolutely loved this experience. And I love staying at the lodge. I love seeing hunting in rice fields. I loved hunting with professional guides and Joel. And one of the best parts of the trip was just getting to know these guys from high and dry, and really building a relationship with them. And so the entire hunt was fantastically rewarding. And if you ever get a chance to go and stay at a lodge like this, guys, do it. It is a fantastic experience. That
Awesome.
being said, it's hard for me to adjust to 5 guns shooting in a situation where people are paying money. When people are paying money, you can't really say, okay, now you guys don't shoot on this pass. Let's let Elliot take a shot. I mean, we had probably 15 birds, and I was like, I don't think I've killed a single bird. And in a setting where the people, you're like, okay, guys, I haven't shot one yet. Let me take the single, and you take the single. But in a situation like this, where you don't really know everyone, and everyone's paid money and everything, and they want to shoot, that's just not how it functions, right? So there's that aspect. I am, and someone asked me this question on one of the videos, the video I just put out today. It's like, which one would you prefer after you've had both? And I would say that I would love to have an experience like that down in Arkansas every single year. If I could sign up to go and do that every single year, I would do it. But I would in no way would I trade it for what I do. There is absolutely no way that I would trade it. There is something about public land duck hunting and having all these locations to choose from, being versatile, finding the birds, going after the birds, doing it in small groups, pulling the trigger and knowing that I for sure shot that particular duck.
Mm-hmm.
I just would, on a week in, week out basis, there's no way that I would trade it in a million years.
Yep. Awesome. It definitely
But
sounds like
great experience. And Arkansas certainly has lots and lots and lots of birds. And there's just water everywhere down there. And I think it's just because there's so much rice, but you just drive around and it's like, oh, there's a flooded rice field with specks in it. There's a flooded rice field with specks in it. Oh, look, there's specks and snow geese right by the road, just hanging out. It's just like, it's mind blowing, honestly.
Yeah. I've seen videos. I haven't been down there yet, so it's definitely on the bucket list for me. But, I've only watched your first two videos. That's all you got out yet. But it looks like, a fantastic lodge and a great group of guys, and looks like you had a ton of fun.
Yeah, if you guys have not checked out Joel Strickland's YouTube channel, Surviving Duck Season, certainly he is a Class A waterfowler. And because it's worth it. He is a phenomenal individual. Just that guy's awesome.
Awesome. All right. Well, you ready to change gears a little bit? Anything else you want to add on to the end of that?
I don't think so. I mean, if anyone has if there's any more questions, but no, I think that about does it.
Yeah. No, go ahead and stay tuned, fellas. He's got 2 more hunts coming out with it, so I'm looking forward to those. But yeah, let's go ahead and change gears. Talk about the hunts I've had going on. So I'm trying to remember. 2 weeks ago, we talked about the boat a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've had a little bit of issues with the boat. We'll just start out with that. And working on it, for me, it's like getting better at that kind of stuff, as well as, it's going to be another tool once I get everything running how I want, get the blind how I want and all that. So definitely been having a little bit of issues getting everything in working condition. But yeah, boat's been a ton of fun, but I guess that hunt's not first. So first time we need to talk about, I've been on, up to this point, I'd been on just a trail of terrible hunts. I think I was 6 out of 7 hunts were skunk, and I hadn't shot a duck in like 33 days. So it's like pretty much like half my season, half my local season without any traveling. I just hadn't shot any ducks. I mean, super stale. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was awful. It's one of the longest stretches I've ever had, as far as skunks. And I think I had a long stretch of skunks last year too. Right about this time, I'm not gonna not hunt. So especially when it's holidays, you have time off and all that kind of stuff. So definitely in the dumps up to this point. So I
can't believe that's your biggest stretch of skunks, because you've doubled your bird total this year from last year. I can't believe that. And that just tells how good the rest of your year's been.
Yeah, no, it started off really good. I mean, I did some traveling, done some stuff I've never done, going down to Kansas for the teal opener, chasing openers. So I've really extended my season. So that also helps add to those numbers. But I've had so many limits early season. I mean, so many limits. So kind of going from that, yeah, I've had a pretty bad stretch here since the end of November going into December, all the way through December till the last weekend of December is the last weekend of our split. And this is also the split for Southern Michigan. I'm not sure if it's all of Michigan, but I know it is Southern Michigan. Their Southern zone has a 2-day split right there at the end. So Kevin had been out there scouting, and he told me he had a bunch of birds. Sent me a video, actually, and he's like, man, we got 3,000 geese and a whole bunch of ducks mixed in there. And you could hear them. You could see them on the video. You could hear the ducks. So I knew that it was probably going to be a good hunt. So I packed up, went up there for the hunt for that weekend on Saturday. And we get out there and get everything packed. I mean, we had so much stuff packed in our canoes. It was crazy. And no joke, it's just a 2-day hunt. I mean, field hunter's probably going to be mad, but we go in there and I mean, we bust a lot of birds off the roost as we canoe in there. I mean, it was like thunder. It was thunder, like multiple waves of thunder as we rolled in there in our canoes. So I was just scared.
Oh, that's a great feeling.
Oh yeah, I mean, it might be the most birds I've ever heard when we busted off. I mean, it was serious. It was like thunder. I mean, first wave was like all ducks. You could hear them quacking, waves of their wings going, and then next was geese, and then like another huge wave of geese. And so, I mean, at that point, you're feeling pretty good. I mean, with that many birds, it's like you gotta have a lot coming back. So
yeah,
we set up on this bog in the cattails, famous Michigan bogs. I don't know if they're famous, but they're famous for me. So, but yeah, so we set up on the bog in the cattails, and we had a huge spread. I'm gonna say that we probably had. I brought all my windsocks, and they had some dive bomb silhouettes. I had my White Rock windsocks, and then a bunch of goose floaters and duck floaters. I mean, it was probably. I mean, it's one of the biggest water spreads.
So just shallow water. How shallow was it?
I mean, we had sandbar, and then it would get out on either side of it to probably about waist deep. But we were able to. I mean, 10 dozen decoys. I mean, but there's that many birds you're trying to match what was already out there. So 10 to 12 dozen, I'm going to say. And I didn't really count them, but we had a lot of decoys out there. But yeah, first light, ducks, geese flying everywhere. We get the show. We have birds coming in there. And, I mean, we're just kind of popping them here and there. Chief making some good retrieves. And I went back and I was thinking about it. And I only had to get out of the cattails twice. Overall, I think we had, let me count how many birds we had. Yeah, all 14 birds we had, I only had to get out of the cattails twice. So that's like, kind of coming to the end of the season. That's huge to see Chief being able to do that, where he's able to be so successful with his retrieves that I barely have to get out of there. And I had to get out of the cattails one time so that I could get past the cattails, line them up next to me, and then send them on a line to a bird. So that was one of them. The other one, it got in the cattails and it was still alive, and he went over to a piece of wood that he thought was the bird, and I had to get over there and point him towards the cattails, and he ran in the cattails, sniffed it out, and brought it right back to me, and made an excellent retrieve on that one too. So huge props to Chief. I guess props to myself for the training I've put in this off season.
He's had a good year, hasn't he?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like they say, dirt under the feet is what makes a dog, and he's had so many hunts this year. I mean, I've had more hunts than I've ever had, and having him on almost all of them. And he's just made leaps and bounds of improvements. And my whole goal is to have a dog where I don't have to get out of the blind. And that's the whole point of having a dog, where they can make you more successful because they're doing that while you're still hunting. And I mean, he did so good. Kind of coming into the season. I mean, his worst was when he got too tired in the middle of the season when I hunted him too much, and then we made out-of-state trip. Is really that time where we went to Kansas was the worst he was all season. And after that, he kind of got back rested up and rearing to go. So, that was probably my mistake more than his, just overworking him, overhunting him to the point of exhaustion. And it's just kind of something I'm going to have to watch out for and be careful next year. But, kind of to refocus on this hunt, I was just super impressed kind of looking back at that he was so successful in all the retrieves. And, hopefully I can get it to where it's 100%. I mean, but we're so close right now that it just feels really good. But, yeah, as the hunt kind of progressed on, we just kept nickel and diming the ducks. We did have a little bit of issue with concealment. Somebody else had hunted that at some point and knocked down a lot of cattails. I don't think it was the Michigan boys I was hunting with. I think they're saying it was somebody else. But they're just, you really need the cover. And so we had a little bit of trouble getting them to finish all the way. We did have, I would say, about half of them kind of cup all the way in, and the rest would kind of flare out at 20, 25 yards. And so we're taking a little bit of passing shots, or as they circle over us, not finishing completely. So, I mean, that's just kind of tough when you're hiding in the cattails. But kind of something to learn from. We kept messing around with the decoys, and it worked a little better when they had a bigger opening. But I think for me, kind of looking back at it, it was just the concealment of the cattails and having so many of them smashed down. And as the hunt went on, like Chief busting through them didn't help. I mean, he doesn't know to avoid the cattails, but as the hunt went on, he kept smashing more and more of them over as he'd run out and get ducks. So, yeah, kind of as we get to the end of the hunt, though, one thing I'll mention, we couldn't get the geese to finish how we wanted. So I don't know if that goes into my theory of a bigger bird, bigger brain, because we could get the ducks close enough. But we only ended up shooting 3 geese, and we saw a lot, had a lot work, but we just couldn't finish them.
Did you having spinners going?
No, we had no spinner. We didn't use a spinner at all. So we just used windsocks, silhouettes, full bodies, goose floaters, and duck floaters. So no spinners at all. And we had plenty of wind. But, we couldn't, for whatever reason, we couldn't get the geese close. We had a few times where it'd be like a group of 6 coming right in, and they'd flare out at like 40, 45 yards, maybe 40 to 50 or 50 to 60, because we didn't even shoot at them. I mean, there'd be a group of 6, and it would just be like, we think they're going to do it right, and they don't. So, yeah. I'm going to go back to that and say that's probably, for me, I'm thinking is concealment a little bit. And, I mean, what can you do except for just bring your own concealment next time or something like that? I'm not sure exactly. But all in all, I mean, it was an amazing hunt. So many birds, so many sights, and, just going off of such a long stale period. And I always tend to I think I overanalyze everything. It's just like, I should just look back at the hunt and enjoy it, I mean, it's good to try to always get better and do better, but at the end of the day, man, I was just so thankful for that hunt. All the birds that we saw and getting on a really solid mallard hunt. But
so how many birds did you end with on that?
I ended with 3, and they both shot their limit. So I had a little bit of poor shooting as well going into that hunt, and I think it's just when you haven't shot your gun in 33 days, it gets. I mean, because up to that point, I'd been lights out I felt like I'd been shooting really good up till here recently. Just not being able to have any birds to shoot. So, but yeah. So icing on the cake, though, we had a bird come in, and actually we had a whole group come in. It was like 6 or 7, and they circled right around, and they didn't finish perfectly. And so we had a passing shot, and all 3 of us shot at the closest bird. And I think we shot 4 times at it, maybe 5. 4, I think it was 4 times. I think one of the Kevins shot 1 time, the other Kevin shot twice, and I shot once. So we all shot this bird and split on it. So lands out in on the sandbar, winged, and it landed probably like 40 yards out. So I just sent, I think one of the guys said, "Oh, he's still alive." I'm like, "Oh, Chief will get him." I just sent Chief out after him, and I see Chief run out to it on the sandbar, and this duck is just like, running in circles, and Chief's right behind it, going in circles, which is super cool to see. But he grabs hold of it, comes running back, and brings it up. Right when he gets up there, I see the leg kick out, and right hanging on the leg is a band.
Did your heart just drop?
Oh, yeah. I'm like, man, one of them said, like, if we knew that thing was banded, like, none of us would have been waiting for Chief to, work. You kind of let your dog kind of work on a crippled dog just to let him work it and kind of help on his hunting skills. But if you know it's banded, you're not giving that bird any chance of getting away. So we definitely would have put a couple shots into it to finish it off instead of just letting Chief run out there and grab it. But, yeah, definitely. We were all pumped, excited, high fives all around. So, that's the first duck band I ever saw. It was kind of weird because I looked down at it, and it's almost like I was confused or thought it was like, I'm like, is this real? Like,
Yeah.
But that's nobody else had touched the bird. It's not like somebody slipped one on or anything. And so it was like that split second of, I'm not seeing what I think I'm seeing. Oh, yes, I am. It's a band. And I'm like, it's banded.
Yeah.
And, lift it up, and everybody's super pumped. So, I asked Kevin, I'm like, hey, so how do you guys decide the bands or whatever? And I don't know if they've done it a lot in the past, but he did a thing where he took and he put 3 shells in his pocket, and 2 of them were one color and one of them was a third color. And so since all 3 of us shot at the bird, everybody's going to want to claim it, right? I shot the bird. So fairest way to do it, which this is a good conversation. Like, how does everybody else decide who gets the band if you have somebody split it, So I'd be curious to see what everybody else says, because I know there's a lot of people who do different styles. But so he puts them in his pocket, and he's like, all right, and we'll flip a quarter to see who goes first between you and Kevin. I'm like, Kevin, you can go first because you have a 33% chance. But if you don't pick it, then I'll have a 50% chance.
That's skewed logic.
I know. I was joking around, but yeah, because everybody has 33% chance. Yeah, so I know, but I thought it was funny at the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, he goes in there and he pulls out a heavy metal shell, and it's one of the gold ones, and one of the 2 colored ones, and he just chucks it on the ground. And so it's my turn, and Kevin's like, no peeking, and so I'm like, I'm not gonna peek, and I just, you have like thoughts spinning through your head about like, I'm like, how can I make sure I get the, but there's no way that, there's no way to tell. So I just shove my hand in there and pull the shell that touches my hand first as quick as possible and lift it up. And actually I have it right here for the live viewers, but it was the blue shell, which meant I get the band. I was so pumped. So
Nice.
actually I have it right here too. So you can see that there.
So it was yours.
Yep. So I got the duck band. I was on cloud 9. I did feel a little bad for Kevin as well, because it was, we talked about it for a while, because we hunted that day and the next day. But he's been hunting ducks for the last 10 years, and it's the first time he's ever been on a hunt where they've shot a duck band. And everybody wants the band, and it's just like the prized possession. And so he was super excited to be on the hunt, be involved in a hunt where we got a band, but I know he wanted it as well. So I felt a little bad for him too, but I also was so pumped that I got it. So it's kind of weird, kind of mixed feeling on it, but I'm super pumped about getting the band. And, shout out to them for inviting me on that hunt. It was awesome. And, shout out to them, because I've been hunting with Kevin, and his friend Kevin, which I need to come up with a name for them, because it's super confusing to say Kevin and Michigan boys. I'm just going to call them the Michigan boys from now on. But I've been hunting with the Michigan boys, almost as much as anybody this season. So, big shout out to those guys, helping me get on some good old Michigan hunts, especially when I'm out of split, and kind of being able to extend my hunt there. So, yeah. I guess that's
where was it banded at?
It was banded up in Wisconsin, probably about midway up the state along Lake Michigan.
Huh, cool.
Yeah, so it was weird, because I actually posted in the fellowship, and someone messaged that their buddy. So I posted the whole information. It said the date it was banded on, and like the hatch that it was a part of, and all that stuff, and the location, and and somebody posted in the fellowship that their buddy on that same exact day killed another mallard that was banded in that same hatch from that same location on the same day, but he killed it in Nebraska.
Oh, that's weird.
I know. It's crazy, right? So how they don't all follow the same migration patterns and all that. And I was kind of curious, because this bird literally would have had to fly across Lake Michigan pretty much sideways, southeast for a good ways. So I wonder if the bird actually went further south, and we had the big warm-up right through Christmas, because this is weekend after Christmas, and it reverse migrated up to us. That's my thought.
I wonder how much reverse migration there is during season. I know we get it in January for sure. Well, I don't know how much there is. I wonder how much there is during the middle of the season. I don't know.
This year's Yeah, it's hard to say. This year's a little bit of an anomaly. Um, and I just kind of wonder with the warmer weather because we had a lot of freeze up, and then everything kind of cleared up. We didn't have any birds, and even in my area, up to that weekend, we kind of saw the birds again. So, um, it was just really weird, and the birds kind of showed up out of nowhere right there that weekend. So, I don't know. That's the only thing I can attribute to that, and it'd be kind of weird any other pattern because he literally would have had to go down around the tip of Lake Michigan, which, from my understanding, they don't really travel straight across it.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point, he would have had to go either straight across the lake and just keep going sideways for a long time. So instead of north to south. So I don't know. It'd definitely be cool to kind of look into that stuff more. But yeah,
Yeah, I've got two bands. One was Saskatchewan, and one was somewhere in Pennsylvania. Which for a Pennsylvania duck to be in Kansas is kind of cool.
yep, yep. So that one blew sideways as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's kind of one other topic I'd love to have somebody on to talk about is kind of like the numbers of birds per band because I know we've talked about it on previous podcasts. You say you think it's somewhere 1 to 1,000 birds or something like that
I'd say at the minimum.
at the minimum. And so I was counting up the birds I've hunted and have personally killed, um, and I'm probably shy of 300 birds. And so I mean, if that's the case, I'm going to be waiting for a long time for a second one.
Well, my dad's only got one in his 35 years.
Yeah, that's
And it was the
crazy.
first mallard drake he shot.
No, that's crazy.
Now there's been I've shot bands on trips he's been on with me, and then there was two other guys he was out with 2 different days, like within the same year, that a single came in, they both drew up on it, and his buddy killed it, and they had band twice. That happened in 1 year to him. So he's
Wow.
been close a bunch of times.
Yeah. So, no, it's definitely, I think the reasons like that and stories like that where he's hunted for 35 years, and I mean, it's not like he's been a casual hunter.
Mm-hmm.
And, we've had other guys comment. I think it was Scott Hill saying that, it's a dream for him, and he's a 30-year dream going after the duck band. So, and then, like I said, Kevin,
Mm-hmm.
and he's been a part of probably 600 to 700 ducks in his 10 years. And that was the first one he's ever been. So I feel super blessed and super pumped about it, this kind of early in my duck hunting career or my duck numbers, whatever you want to say, to be graced with a duck band.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the story actually gets crazier from here. So I'm all jacked up, got my first band, Cloud 9. I mean, I couldn't be more excited about it. So anyways, go on my next hunt, and I guess it's not my exact next hunt, so I forgot. I think I even said in a post it was back-to-back hunts, but I did go on a hunt before that. But I'll jump back to that one and talk about that one briefly. But yeah, so we went on a goose hunt. Went on with the HDR crew on New Year's Eve, not New Year's Day Eve, New Year's Eve, and then yeah, so we had a field loaded up with geese. And so I'm cameraman for the first half of the hunt. I didn't have the camera ready on a single that came in, and I took a split on that one and claimed that bird. So that was the only bird I'd kind of shot up to that point. We get closer to the end of the hunt, and so I finally put down the camera. I still have 2 birds left. The majority of the hunt, the other guys are pretty close to done. So they finish up on theirs. I shoot one more in a group with them, and then give Hunter the camera, and I have one more bird to get, and the hunt's done. Everybody else is done, limited out, but I haven't limited yet because I was filming. Also, I didn't have great shooting on that day as well. Layout hunting, I'm not used to layout hunting, and haven't shot a lot of birds recently, so that's my excuses for having terrible shooting. But anyways, last group comes in, and of course, it's like a group of 20 to 30 geese. I mean, all cupped in, coming in perfect. One of the best working groups we've had all day. I mean, just doing it right up the pipeline. And so right when they get about in shooting range, Hunter's like, hit him, hit him, hit him, hit him, hit him. Like he's just rearing for me to pop out and shoot him. And I'm kind of taking my time And I just kind of stood up, and I remember just sitting there and looking at them and kind of figuring out which one I wanted to shoot, because I mean all of them are right there, and even when I sat up, it's not like they flared. They just all were kind of floating right in front of me. And finally, I see one that seems like a pretty easy shot as it like coasts in front of me at like 15 yards, and so I just train my gun on it, follow it for like 2 or 3 seconds, and pop, one shot, and just roll it. I mean, it literally did like a somersault in the air and landed on the ground, and Chief goes running after it, picks it up. Hunter got it on camera good. I was actually editing that video for HDR today, but Chief comes trotting in through the snow, through the field. I mean, he just looks like an absolute beast. And obviously I'm a little I'm a little biased, but he looks like an absolute beast, like a tank of a dog with his goose in his mouth, just high stepping through the snow. And he brings it. He literally just steps into my blind with it and hands it to me. And I'm looking at it, and I cannot believe it as I just hold up this goose in my hand with the legs stretched out. It's banded. So I shot.
Oh, man.
It was like 2 birds in between it. I shot that duck. I shot 2. Well, I guess it's 2 or 3 birds in between it. 3 birds in between it. Shoot that duck, another duck, and 2 geese. And the next bird I shoot is another banded goose. So I freaked out because I just couldn't believe it again. And again, I probably wouldn't have believed it. If Chief didn't bring it from the field to my hand, I would have been like, okay, these guys, they know I just got my duck band. They're trying to screw with me, and they slipped on a goose band, But the fact that he went straight to the field and brought it straight back to my hand, I knew that it was legitimately banded. And it was just, man, I freaked out. So
So where was that one banded at?
that one was actually a local bird. So not as exciting as getting a migrator, but he was a local resident goose. And I'm not going to tell you where, because that would tell you where I hunt.
Well, yeah, a band's a band.
Yep, band's a band. And first duck and first goose band 3 days apart.
That is cool.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah,
I'm due for one. I feel like I want one. I want one real bad. I got my 2 like in consecutive years, and it's just, man, who knows? We could go another 20 years and not shoot one.
Yeah. So when's your last band?
Let's see. It was before FDH, so I shot one out at Cheyenne Bottoms. That was my first one, Mallard Drakes, probably around somewhere between 2011 or 12 ish, between 2010 and 2014, where both my bands were in there.
Nice. So do you have like a preference, like like a duck or goose band? Like which one kind of would mean more to you?
Duck would mean more to me.
Yeah, for sure. I'm the same
There's
way.
so many locally band, and I do think that locally banded geese kind of have an asterisk on it. Aiden's first couple of bands he shot like 2 in one day, and they were banded right there at the same location, and I do think those types of bands have a little bit of an asterisk beside them. So I think the farther they would migrate, the cooler. So
Yep.
Corn shot a snow goose that was clear up by the Arctic Circle. I can't remember Greenland or Iceland. I mean, way up there, and that is just, talk about cool.
Yep. That's probably the coolest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll take a duck over a goose band any day.
Yeah. I don't know if it's just because I enjoy ducks more than geese, and I really have the geese have grown on me the last couple of seasons. Having a lot of fun with those, but yeah, it's just something about seeing like a greenhead like that, with the jewelry on it. It's just something you only really see in pictures, and finally when you get one in your hands, it's almost like, wow, this is just awesome. So I'm definitely in the same boat where I prefer a duck band over a goose band, but it was just to get both of them was super surreal. So
All right, so answer this question for me, because I've never really fleshed this out in my mind. What makes getting a duck band so cool?
yeah, no, I've been thinking about this a lot myself. It's kind of just knowing like the journey of it too, in some extent. And then kind of I think the rarity. So, I mean, just those 2 things combined are pretty cool. And I mean, also it looks cool, So
Yeah.
what would you say?
Man, I'm not sure. The number one cool thing about it is finding out where they migrated from.
Yep.
Um, I guess it's so difficult to get one, and you have to shoot so many birds to get one. I'd say that maybe tied into that, it's kind of a badge of honor. Like, these are really hard to get, and I had to work hard to get it, and I had to shoot so many birds to get it, and here it is, and here's where it
Yep.
migrated from, I guess.
Yep. And do you keep yours on your lanyard?
I do not. I do not. I don't know. I'm going back and forth because at one point I felt like when people just put bands all over their lanyards, it was kind of lame and gaudy and everything. And I'm kind of falling back away from that thought these days. So I maybe I should put my two on my lanyard. Maybe I
Yeah.
should.
No, I mean, I think it goes along with what you said. It is definitely a badge of honor. You know, I mean, you don't want to be like braggadocious, but also it's like, hey, and there is some luck involved, right? Because
Mhm.
there is like a certain amount of number of ducks and geese you have to shoot to get your bands. And I think I've got these two kind of early in the numbers if you look at by the numbers. But like if you do have a lot of bands, it means that it can mean that you're a good hunter. You've put in a lot of time and all that. So I do think it is a badge of honor as part of why it's cool to get bands. And then also, like you said, the journey, seeing where they came from, all that kind of stuff. Just knowing that it's kind of like people who shoot like a big buck and have history. Like somehow you get a part of this bird's history, you know? And so it's different than kind of the other birds because something more about it than just that one day where it came into your set and you shot it. So,
Yeah, and a guy here on the live stream mentioned this, and I was just thinking it. I think I should probably put my bands on these two gadwalls behind me. I
mm,
think that would be pretty cool.
yeah,
I've got two gadwalls decoying in on the mounts. Aiden shot. Well, they're very special birds. Aiden shot one when we were together, and I shot the other one by myself. I love gadwalls. I should either I should put them on my lanyard or put them on that mount.
yep. No, either one would be a cool option. So the only thing I worry
Yeah.
about with a lanyard is actually losing them because hopefully it's something I can keep hang on forever. And you don't want to lose them off a lanyard. You hear people getting their lanyard stole or that kind of stuff. So I'll definitely be guarding my lanyard more carefully than I have in the past.
Honestly, I'm not sure where my bands are right now. We just moved. I'm getting nervous as I sit here thinking about it. I'm not totally positive where they are at this moment.
Mm.
I better find those.
You better find them. I'll
I
ask you
think
about it
I'm
next
gonna
time.
look for them. I think I'm gonna put them on those. That would be really cool having them on those mounts.
Yep, that would be
Or I could even, I mean, this one that I could even, I don't know.
nice. Well, one more thing I wanted to talk about in my hunt update. So I did have a hunt in between, where I took out the boat, took it out to Michigan. Kevin had another good spot lined up, and it was just like a rainy day. We go out there, and I want to keep this one brief because we were already gone for a while tonight. But we get out there in the boat. The boat's running great. The only issue I had is the recoil spring had broke partially, so I could only pull the boat string part way out, but it was enough I could get it rolling. So I'd actually made sure the night before, kept ripping on it and got it going so it was warm. So I knew the next day it was going to start out fine. So we get to the boat launch, and sure enough, I just pull it one time, little baby pull, and this thing kicks right up. And this is the motor on this boat is a 79 Evinrude 15 horse, and it's a 16-foot flat bottom John boat. So I'm not a big boat guy. I'm learning as I go. But yeah, and it's got the blind that I built on. I need to do a video on it for sure, so everybody can kind of see what I'm working with here. But yeah, so anyways, we get to the spot. We have a few ducks work in, and there's a little bit of a poke. I don't think I have the blind brushed in the way I need to work birds as close as we need to. So anyways, definitely can have some improvements on it. But that's kind of the fatal error because they worked not as close as we needed to. And we took the shot, killed the one dead on the water. It was flapping, doing little circles, and the other one was still alive and kicking, which normally would be fine. But Chief went after the one that was spinning in circles instead of the one that was drifting away. So anyways, we're like, well, I had trouble getting Chief out of the boat. First time for him hunting the boat as well, or retrieving out of the boat, I should say. So he wouldn't jump right out of the water, right into the water with like no bottom. He needed a little bit of coaxing, but finally got him out there. And while he's doing that, I'm getting the boat motor started, and we're gonna go after that duck. So we're rolling out there, following Chief. He grabs a duck, and he won't jump in the front because I'm in the back. So finally, I just pull him up through the back, even though it's like super crowded. We got the boat motor there, the blind in the way, but I just pull him up through there, and we keep coasting after that. Or we keep chugging along after that duck, and the boat motor's still running fine. And we're motoring right across the lake, and all of a sudden, it just dies. And so I'm pulling, nothing. A choke, pull, do all the stuff you're supposed to do to start the motor, nothing. And then I finally realized that when I pulled Chief up through the back, he pulled out the gas line from the gas tank to the boat motor. So I'm not getting any gas, and I just ran this thing dry. And I went out there without the line, the starter line, whatever you want to call that, fully working correctly. So after it runs it dry, I can't get it primed. I can't get it started right again. So no matter what I do, I just pull and I pull and I pull and I pull and I pull. And after running this thing dry, I just can't get it started. So we're actually fighting against the wind and the current. So so meanwhile, we just decided we got to paddle back. We can't get it going. Kevin was smart enough to throw out the anchor while I was messing around trying to get it started, so we didn't lose any more ground. But literally, the current and the wind were working against us. So we're just paddling with all we got. We're paddling, and it's like we're just inching our way across this lake against current and wind. And so eventually, we decided we need to take a break, and we're not even there yet. But we've been paddling for a straight 20 minutes.
How big is this lake?
It's big. I mean, I don't know how to describe it in acres or anything like that, but it's a chain of lakes.
Okay.
So it's not like some small lake. It's enough that it would move the boat with the waves and stuff. I don't know how to describe it, but anyways, so again, this boat's new to me, everything. So we decided we need to take a break, and so we go to throw out the anchor again, but I don't know how to release the anchor on this reel. I have it out far enough that when I can get to the bank, I throw out the anchor right there, and we can anchor the boat and set up and hunt, right? But it's not made for the middle of the lake where I don't know how deep the bottom is. So I can't get the thing to release. And while I'm doing this, we literally lose half the distance we already gained.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I'm like, we just need a paddle. So we just both grab the paddles again. And eventually what I needed to do was just take the whole blind off. And I literally tore apart the blind on the boat because the wind was catching it so hard it was like a sail. So pulled off the whole blind off both sides as Kevin's still trying to hold us in place. And finally we just get to paddling. I mean, it was we just were inching. And finally we made it to the decoys. Oh, and by the way, while we're out there just paddling, we're 100 yards away from the decoys, and 3 geese just sail right into our set to add salt to the wound. They land, they just look over at these 2 guys out in the middle of the lake 100 yards away, just paddling at them,
wow.
not making any ground. So then we get up to the decoys, we bust them off, and we throw the anchor in there. We're just we're both exhausted, just sitting there. And all of a sudden we hear, and it's 2 ducks literally are landing on top of us. So it's we have all these birds working our set. Literally, they were in kill range. If I had my gun loaded, I could have just turned around in the boat and killed them. No blind, sitting in the middle of the decoys. So we would have had a really good hunt if we could have just hunted. So I felt pretty bad for Kevin. It was the last day of duck season. And I'm like, hey, man, I really want to use my boat. I think it's going to be awesome. It's going to help us with the hunt. We could have just took canoes. But, you never can predict these kind of things, and I got to get used to the boat game and all that kind of stuff. So I felt a little bad for Kevin, but he's always a great sport about everything. So,
How many ducks did you have on this trip?
just the one that we were able to retrieve. We would have 2. I mean, the boat broke down on the first 2 that came in. So, excuse me. So yeah.
How'd you get all the way back?
So we couldn't. We had to actually, like I said, it was like a chain of lakes and the current and all that. So we had to like paddle and go with the current. And there was another boat launch, and we had the other Kevin, the other half of the Michigan boys group, wasn't hunting with us that morning. We just had other stuff going on the night before, and so he was able to come and rescue us. And we met him at the other boat launch. So we just coasted with the current and with the wind, and kind of paddled to stay close to the shore and let the current and the wind do all the work. And eventually we made it to another boat launch, and I got out there, and he drove me to the other boat launch that was actually on another lake that we started out from, and then got the boat trailer all the way around over there. So currently the boat, I still don't have it in working condition. I have 2 parts ordered and lights and battery and all this stuff, and I'm hoping to get that all hooked up. But yeah, having fun with it, but that was definitely a frustrating little excursion for sure.
For long enough, you're gonna have some events like that take place, and it's just how it is.
Yep. Finding out
When's
that's
that
the
video
truth.
coming out?
Well, I'm currently, I'm working on the banded mallard hunt and an update hunt that I'm putting out before the banded mallard hunt that's going to talk about the boat a little bit, and then we'll get into the crazy boat not working hunt after that. So hopefully next week I got a couple videos coming out, if not a few. So
Can't wait for that video to come out.
Yep. So, that's probably about covers it. Anything else you want to add, Elliot?
So we've got a big hunt planned for tomorrow. Alarm clock set for 2 a.m. tomorrow, so it's going to be an early one. Aiden and my dad and myself. So it's winding down here. My zone's closed with ducks, so we're having to travel an hour and a half to the south for this one. So just trying to get in I've yet to have. I mean, I haven't had a really good mallard hunt yet this year. I've done okay on my numbers, but I just need. I'm hoping by the end of the season I can get one of those really phenomenal day of mallard shooting. I haven't had it yet.
Yeah. Are you anywhere near your not like are you going to hit 100 this year?
I don't know. I don't think so. I've got 20. What 20? I'm looking at your numbers right now. Hold on, let me look at them real quick. I've got 24 hunts and 74 harvested. Last year at this time, I had 25 hunts and 114 harvested. So I'm well below last year, but last year was by far the best year of my life. So this year I'm right about at my average for a year, which is about 3 ducks a hunt. So I'm on pace for probably about 90 birds. That's what I'm on pace for.
Well, I hope it picks up and you can hit that 100 mark again. I know that was a kind of milestone last year, so it'd be cool if you can get right up to that again.
Yeah, looking at this year with all the flooding and I was thinking if I could just be in the 70s or 80s this year, I'd be really happy with that. So, I'm happy with the year. The only thing this year has lacked is the mallard hunts. I'm below my normal mallard numbers, and so that's really what I'm thirsting for is a really nice mallard hunt. But we will see. We've got one more month to go at it. I think I've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I've got 5 duck hunts left.
Awesome.
So if I could average just over 5 ducks to hunt on that, I might hit 100. I don't think that's going to happen, but that's all right. If I can just get in a couple good hens from there. I think tomorrow we'll probably we're struggling for birds right now, and I'm not sure why. There was that really cold front up north with all the snow, and we don't have the geese or the ducks here right now I'd expect us to have. So we found it was so annoying. We went out scouting yesterday around here just looking for geese, just thinking, okay, we were having problems hearing about any good duck places, so let's look for geese. And we found a pond that Aiden has permission to, a small pond with 200 to 300 mallards on it. And at 2:00, they were just dumping in there, of course, and we can't hunt it. So that was really, really frustrating.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
And we were like, well, maybe. No, we're not. We would never do it out of season.
When's your split open? January?
It opens back up. like the 16th, whatever that Saturday is, right around the, or no, it would be the 7th because Martin Luther King Jr. Day is the 18th.
Gotcha.
So I've got Tim Cochran from Illinois coming in, and we're probably going to go out west, out around Aden for that weekend on the 18th, 19th.
Nice.
And then the weekend after that's the last weekend. I don't know if I kind of want to try to get you to come down here. I'm just not sure what the prospects are. I hate to try to get you down here and have Chris crap.
Yeah, I hear you.
I don't know.
All right.
This side of
Well,
the state has sucked this year.
yeah, it sounds like you've been having a little bit of a rough one for sure, but you
Yeah.
know, can't complain too bad either. So
That's for sure.
yeah. So let's go ahead. Let's try something a little bit new here. We're gonna have our first call-in guest, and we're gonna talk to Virginia Outdoor Unlimited, one of our good buddies from the Flyways Collective. So let's go ahead and bring him on the call. So here we go. Get the phone ringing and everything coming through.
Hey, Jordan.
Hey, what's going on, Thomas? You are live
Nothing
with us.
much. Oh, okay. Gotcha.
You're live with us on the Duck Gun podcast. Me and Elliot.
Can everybody hear me?
Yep, everybody can hear you. So,
All right, good.
but yeah, we just wanted to
What's
check
up,
in
Thomas?
with
Hey, Elliot. How you doing?
Yeah, it's good to talk to you, buddy. Thanks for being our little tester.
you.
No problem.
But yeah, everybody give thumbs up in the chat if you can hear them all right. We'll make sure we get that running good. But let's go ahead. Thomas, tell us how you're I know you're in your the later split. Is this your second or third split of your season?
This is our third split. We're about half. I think yesterday or today might have been day 30. So right about halfway through.
Awesome. So you know, I know a little bit from your videos, but I'd like to hear it from the horse's mouth, as they say. But how's your season going?
It's been a tough one. I could go into all the different struggles I've had, but we just honestly have not had any weather to speak of here in the Atlantic Flyway. I mean, we had 2 days during the season that have been below freezing overnight, and the rest have been above freezing. So no real weather to speak of. We've still had a few calendar birds. They're in those spots that don't get pressured, but it's still been tough. I mean, we haven't had. I can't think of maybe about half the birds we're used to. So it's been tough. Still been able to get out some good hunts just by mainly getting in the kayaks, doing some layout hunts. But then had some troubles. My car's been out of commission and lost a couple of videos because of SD card corruption. So it's been rough in terms of filming. I've had a decent season itself, but the whole video thing has been a little bit shortcoming this year.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that definitely can be an added element of difficulty with vehicles and SD cards and all that going on. So, but I've been seeing you definitely been getting into a little bit more variety here lately. So yeah, you have any more hunts kind of planned for the near future?
For the near future, honestly, nothing really lined up. I mean, I have kind of my three or four main spots, but we're trying to rest them at the moment, get some new birds in them because we've funded kind of all of our main spots here recently. Some of them take a little bit shorter time to get some birds, and some of them can be out of commission for a week or two after we hunt them. But hoping for some weather here. Really, the forecast is not looking good, so nothing really kind of big planned, but just going to be doing some more kind of swamp hunts here. Hopefully, picking off the few birds that are still hanging out.
When's your season? Your duck season come to an end? I know you got Lake Goose going.
We go all the way to the 31st this year.
Okay.
Which is the first time. I know quite a few states are doing that this year because it was introduced this year. It used to be they could only go to the last Saturday, and this year's 31st. And I could go into all of that, how I don't think that's going to help, but that's a whole nother story.
All righty. Well, that's some good updates from the Eastern Flyway. How you doing with the 2 mallard limits as well?
It's difficult. It's different. I guess it's the first time I've really experienced it in my lifetime. Kind of such a drastic limit drop. So it's different. I think it's more kind of the it's not actually the shooting mallards part. It's the rest of the ducks. Because it used to be in the past, we're shooting a lot of birds in our first 15 minutes of light. That just means silhouetted ducks. So you shoot basically one big duck, and you have to go pick it up. And when we're hunting in kayaks like that, I mean, if you drop a bird 20 yards down the hole to get out, you paddle your kayak out there, go grab the bird yourself, you're wasting 4 or 5 minutes. And in a 15-minute flight, that's really tough. So it's different in terms of just being able to shoot birds. You have to kind of be on your game where you have to really know what you're shooting at, which, I mean, you should always know what you're shooting at, but it's tough in some certain situations like that.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with you on the first light thing. And we have to do something similar, but it's not as drastic. For me, it's like early light, we know we're shooting at mallards, but you got to be careful of going past the 2 hens. So, but for you, it's just the 1 hen. So it's like you said, 1 big duck. You got to make sure that bird isn't a mallard hen before you shoot another silhouetted duck at first light. So,
and then even on cloudy days when you've got your 2 mallards and you have a black duck come in. We had that literally happen 2 days ago. Had a black duck come in and none of us shot because you're just not sure until you get some light on it to really see when that bird's silhouette is like that.
Yep. No, I can definitely see that. Being a little bit damper on the season, but you guys are pushing through and doing a good job out there. So,
I think it's just kind of part of the things you go through as like a waterfowl hunter. Like I don't know, like I'm just young at this point, so I haven't experienced this. I'm sure Elliot has experienced this 4 or 5 times now. He's a little bit more seasoned in terms of kind of limit drops and rises and all that.
You got anything to add to that, Elliot?
Not really. It's just you gotta. I am curious, Jordan. I guess the question's for you. Do you let birds stay on the water and not go pick them up immediately when you have Chief, Jordan?
No, I mean,
so that's what Thomas is talking about.
Very
waiting
rarely,
and not going out in the kayak.
very rarely. I mean, we have at certain times, but I don't think it's ever been where Chief's at this stage of his hunting career where he can just go get them. There has been a couple times where, or there's been times where you send them out for a bird or 2, and then you don't send them after. Like, let's say you drop 3, you don't send them after the next one because you have a flock working. You don't want your dog out there getting shot at, have the potential of getting shot at. You always should trust everybody you're hunting with anyway. But also you don't want them flaying the bird. So there's a couple reasons why that might happen. But no, for the most part, yeah, having a dog in that situation kind of would remedy that difficulty.
Thomas, do you see yourself as getting a dog once you get out of college?
Yeah, I do. But yeah, I mean, it's tough in college. I think it's just you can't have them really in a tiny little dorm room. So yeah, that's kind of 2 or 3 years down the road at this point. But hopefully, once I'm out of college, I have my own place, I'll be able to get one.
Awesome. I think everybody that duck hunts should have a dog, but I'm probably biased. So
yeah, and I always like hunting with dogs. I mean, it's cool. One of my buddies has one, and we'll get him out there, but he's not really trained to be in the kayak, so he's not able to get out with us on those hunts.
Yep. Well, last question, and you can pass on this one if you don't want, but been seeing a little bit of a crackdown by your state on some gun laws. I don't know how controversial.
Yeah.
You got any thoughts on that?
It's stupid. I mean, honestly, I just stay out of politics. Yeah, definitely not in favor of the gun laws. I wish everybody would just kind of stay out of everybody else's business. That's kind of my whole view on it.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely a fan of small government and not overreaches like that, and kind of have to watch out for that kind of stuff as hunters.
Yeah, and it's funny how it kind of sneaks up on you. Like they kind of nickel and dime it on you. Like now, if you look at California, I was talking to Titus when we were in Kansas about all the kind of the ammo laws and what they have to go through, and you don't really realize it until it's on top of you. It becomes so restrictive that you're paying $100 extra every time you purchase ammo.
Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, appreciate you jumping on here for a quick bit and doing the call with us. So
no problem. Always glad to be on here.
Yeah, good luck out there in Virginia. You guys haven't checked him out, Thomas, Virginia Outdoors Unlimited, putting out some excellent waterfowl content. So thanks for jumping on, and I guess I'll talk to you sometime soon.
Yep, sounds good. Good luck.
Alrighty. Well, kind of to wrap it up, Elliot. I was thinking we should kind of touch on our year in review and kind of any kind of goals or New Year's resolutions as far as hunting and waterfowl content go.
My New Year's resolution would be that there's no flood this spring and summer so that we can get back to normal habitat. That's just put us just out of our element at this side of the state, not having any of our traditional hunting spots have birds. I mean, it's just thrown us off so bad. So I want to reset on the habitat around here where we can just get things back to normal. And I hear it's a wet spring supposedly, which just scares me
Well,
to death. But
I'll stop doing my rain dance, so you should be good.
yes, please. I had one of the local managers tell me what we really need is a drought to reset things
Oh,
totally. So
that's crazy.
but it's as far as my hunting goes, I don't know what next year is going to bring. I know I'm still going to be filming hunts. Georgie's going to be kicking it off September, first teal hunt, and so I'm just right as soon as season's over, I'm just going to be putting out content on Georgie vlogs and really working hard to get her where I want her to be. So that's my main focus, and like I said, I'm still going to be cranking out hunt videos, and so we're just going to keep doing what we do.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely agree on that. I was kind of looking back at my year this year, and it's definitely, every year that I've done the content creation and every year that I've done kind of the hunting, it's kind of got bigger and better. And kind of looking back on the year, I mean, I've hunted more than I ever hunted. I've killed more birds than I've ever killed. I've created more content as far as videos and podcasts. I've met a lot of people from across the country. All the Flyways Collective we got together. That was awesome. Meeting all the other YouTubers. And then I've traveled up to Michigan multiple times and hunted with new groups and seen different styles of ways people hunted. We've had Swamp Man kind of join the HTR crew and kind of join my crew as well, going out and hunts with me. So it's just like it's been a big year for me. Even at HTR, it's been a better year than last year as far as kind of growing the business and all that. And then got to thank you, Elliot, for joining me on the podcast and all that for all these years. It's just kind of nice to have somebody that we can. Not everybody does the podcast and YouTube stuff, so it's hard for other people to kind of relate to that. So, it's definitely been a kind of year in review. It's been an awesome year.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's been very unusual year for me as well, just because of all the different people I've hunted with is very unusual. Unusual. I normally stick within my little group, and
Yeah,
it has been a good year. It's
yeah,
been a good year.
yeah. So I would say, kind of for me, man, I've like really kind of pushed myself and on kind of even the hunting and the content creation. I wanted to make this year, bigger and better than the other years for sure. But kind of in doing that, like kind of thinking about like what I've done and, you know, everything's kind of been successful. The podcast has grown, the YouTube has grown. So kind of in all those aspects, it's kind of been great. But it's kind of like looking at it in a different perspective. And there's almost like, it almost sounds weird when you say it like this, but there's sacrifices you make when you kind of push it that hard. Um, and so like one thing kind of like that I have a goal is, and it's not to like hunt less. Like I don't want it to sound like that, but there's some things that I didn't get to do that maybe I wanted to do. But in the sake of like making more content creation, sometimes I feel like I have that pressure on me. And it's probably self kind of pressure to do that and
Hmm.
create more content. But I had a goal a few years back to shoot a buck with my bow. And I never got around to doing that. I hunted for that one season, kind of doing that. So I'd like to maybe try to do that. Try to fit in some time to get on some deer hunts. I didn't go at all this year. I'd love to shoot a buck or a doe. Honestly, I'd just love to shoot a deer with my bow. Kind of get that feeling and see how that is. One thing I've kind of strayed away with the amount of time we put into just pumping out the content sometimes. It feels like doing what there's the kind of balance between quantity and quality, or maybe not. That's not even the right way to say it, but I want to make sure that I stay creative in the content I push out, and sometimes, like, because that's what I enjoy about it, and sometimes I've strayed away from that this year. Like, I haven't done it at all. Kind of looking back, where in previous years I've kind of had some more creative side to my videos, so I want to try to do that a little bit more. But yeah, I don't know, just a few things I want to do different. But then kind of as far as being a better duck hunter, a few goals I have is finding more spots, which I think everybody has that every year. Because like I said earlier in the podcast, I mean, you have a ton of spots, and I feel like I'm lacking on that, and I could use even public land spots, just find more spots to hunt, keep scouting, keep trying new places, keep getting better all the time, and then utilize all the tools I got. I didn't lay out hunt from the boat this year, which was one of my plans. I've always just got to the spot and got out and hunted. So, doing that and then having the boat, getting that all figured out for next year. So definitely got some goals. I'd love to hit that 100 mark for ducks. I don't know if I'll ever do it, but probably be a year at some point where I do. So anyways, that's a lot of things to kind of take in and think about. But yeah, all in all, like I said, a great year by all accounts. So can't complain about anything. But yeah, I guess that's where I stand. Anything you want to add, Elliot?
No, that was an interesting list to hear you share. I really haven't thought about it all that much for my goals and everything as far as content creation, and I think that you spoke to it a little bit about we only have so much time, and you have to make a decision as to where you're going to put that time at, and so
Yeah.
probably a good time that I do a little more reflecting about the YouTube channel and about my hunting and be a little more reflective about steps that I want to make in the future towards that.
Yeah.
So that was interesting to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah. And kind of like putting it out there. Like, I don't want it to come across as like negative or like, I mean, there's so much to be thankful for with what we do. And like when I say like sacrifices and all that, like, I just want to make sure I have a good life balance and don't push myself or feel pressured. I want to be creative. I mean, I do want to push myself. I always want to push myself to do good, but I don't want to push myself too far, I guess is what I'm saying. So I want to have a good life balance. Don't want to sacrifice the things that I might regret later on, like not ever making the time to go out there and shoot a buck, or like always making sure I have time to go on my salmon fishing trip, which, I really enjoy, which isn't duck hunting, but, I really enjoy doing that. And this year I'd actually planned not to, and I had my surgery, and then the weekend after that I couldn't go and ended up going on the salmon fishing trip, which was a lot of fun. So it's like, we got to make sacrifices sometimes, but also it's like have a good balance. And even outside of outdoor activities, with the wife and kid and all that. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, anything you want to
I'm
add
sorry,
before?
you kind of cut out on me, and I didn't hear the last part of what you said. But I don't think I have anything else on that. I think that was well said. The parts I heard.
Awesome. Well, thanks for everybody tuning in again. I think this is probably a good way to go ahead and end the podcast. 2020, awesome year, hopefully, for all of us. So happy New Year's from the Duck Gun podcast crew to all you guys out there. We really appreciate you guys just as much this year as last year. So stay tuned, guys. We got some awesome guests lined up coming up in the future. And it's going to be a good one. So anyways, I'm Jordan from Duck Gun Chronicles.
Hey guys, I'm Jordan Fromer. I believe in hunting.
Push the wrong button there. I'm Jordan from Duck Gun Chronicles, Elliot from Freelance Duck Hunting, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Alrighty, live stream crew. That's the end of the podcast recording. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Gonna have to go back again and read through all the comments. That's what I kind of do post. So appreciate everybody and your feedback throughout the podcast. But we've been on here. This is the longest podcast we've had in a long time, and I can tell, Elliot, you're itching to get off here, aren't you?
I'm wearing down. I got to get it at 2 a.m. and I just got some stuff to do, but I'm ready to go.
Awesome. Well, good luck, Elliot, on your hunt. Hope you guys get that mallard hunt you've been dreaming of.
Yeah, we're going to a place that I've hunted this complex. I've not hunted this spot in the complex, and I've wanted to for a few years. So it ought to be interesting. That'd be interesting.
Awesome. Well, I hope you guys do good. Make sure to let me know. And
I will send you some pictures.
awesome.
Hopefully pictures of me holding ducks and
Yeah.
not just me not holding ducks. You'll either get this picture or you get a duck in the picture. One of the two.
Hopefully we get sun